The Charity Commission have released their findings into their Prince Harry Sentebale investigation. And in the last couple of hours, Hazza has provided a shocking response, and some are even considering his next steps to be absolutely outrageous. Hey up everyone, it's me, Stef The Alter Nerd, your nerdy alternative, and welcome to the Dose of the Daily Nerd, where I break down the royal news and gossip of the day that's pretty much caught me eye. And oh my goodness, yeah, let's jump into this madness, shall we? Because the Charity Commission, they've released their findings into their Prince Harry and Sentebale investigation, and a lot of mainstream media outlets are taking one thing from this. Prince Harry has been reprimanded for the crisis that, as far as a lot of us are concerned, he caused at Sentebale. Prince Harry totally scolded by the UK charity regulator, otherwise known as the Charity Commission. Now, in the last couple of hours, Hazza has provided a shocking response, and some are even considering his next steps to be absolutely outrageous. But before we get to that, well, let's just have a little bit of a gander as to what the Charity Commission said when it comes to their findings into this investigation. So here, dated today, the 6th of August 2025, Regulator concludes case into Sentebale. So the Commission has issued the charity with a regulatory action plan to address governance weaknesses after a damaging internal dispute emerged. They identified a lack of clarity around role descriptions and internal policies as the primary cause for weaknesses in the charity's management. It finds that this confusion exacerbated tensions, which culminated in a dispute and multiple resignations of trustees and both founding patrons. The regulator has criticised all parties to the dispute for allowing it to play out publicly, and further concluded that the then trustees' failure to resolve disputes internally severely impacted the charity's reputation and risked undermining public trust in charities more generally. Now, the findings. A number of concerns were raised by different parties. After conducting interviews and thoroughly reviewing all evidence submitted, the Commission found the following. 1. The delegation of certain powers to the chair, including consideration of an executive chair role, was a confusing, convoluted and poorly governed process with a lack of clearly defined delegations over time. 2. The then trustees failed to have proper processes and policies in place to investigate internal complaints. 3. More generally, a lack of clear policies contributed to the failure to resolve disputes. 4. It was not satisfied that public statements made to the media and public criticism made in TV interviews were conducted in a way that served the charity's best interests. Now, based on the evidence provided and reviewed by the Commission, it found no evidence of widespread or systematic bullying or harassment, including misogyny or misogynoir at the charity, but the Commission has acknowledged the strong perception of ill treatment felt by a number of parties to the dispute and the impact this may have had on them personally. In other words, they couldn't find any evidence, but they're not ruling it out. That's what I'm getting from that. What about you guys? Very interesting choice of wordplay on that, don't you think? Also, overreach by either the chair or the Duke of Sussex's patron, but the Commission is critical of the charity's lack of clarity in delegations to the chair, which allowed for misunderstandings to occur. The failure to clarify delegations within the charity to the chair and the failure to have proper processes for internal complaints both amount to mismanagement in the administration of the charity. Separately, the Commission expects that in future the charity should have a clearly defined patron role set out in writing. So, one of the big findings out of all of this is that the role of patron isn't clearly defined, right? It's a little bit up in the air. It's very nebulous in a way, right? Now, it's slightly a tangent, but it is linked. This brings me to mind of a story that came out over the last couple of years when it comes to Prince Harry and his role at BetterUp. So he's like Chief Impact Officer or something along those lines, right, over on BetterUp. gets paid millions a year, right? He's on a 7-figure sum. Now, when BetterUp was laying off a lot of their employees, some of them spoke out to the media anonymously, and a lot of them turned around and they said, we don't know what Prince Harry really does at the company. He's never there on a daily basis. We have no idea what he's doing there. We don't know what his role really is. We don't know what he really does on a day-to-day basis. What does Prince Harry do again? Seems like his role at BetterUp isn't really clearly defined. Just like, as per the Charity Commission, his role as patron wasn't clearly defined with the charity that he set up, Sentebale. You see a little bit of a pattern there? Just a little bit of a pattern. And ultimately, when it comes to Archewell Foundation, on their tax documents, it literally shows that he and Megxie only contribute 1 hour per week each towards Archewell Foundation. What is their role in that charity again? That doesn't really seem clearly defined either. See, there's a little bit of a pattern here, right, of Hazza, and his role's not really being clearly defined when it comes to his work with charity, but also as well in the business sector with BetterUp, for example. Why is that? I'm just asking for a friend, really. Why is that? Anywho, the conclusions into this, before we get to Hazza's insane response to all of this, is that the Commission's assessment of the various accounts that have been provided is that all the charities then trustees contributed to a missed opportunity to resolve issues which led to the dispute. The regulator observed that strategic and financial difficulties that had emerged for the charity following the pandemic contributed to the tensions that arose. The regulator urges trustees of all charities, if in disagreement, not to lose sight of their charity's best interest or the good work it does for those who need it. In other words, Hazza, don't let your ego get in the freaking way, right? And try and play out this war in the media. Instead, do it behind closed doors so that the charity and those that it serves aren't negatively affected. Dumbass. Anywho, as made clear to all parties in this case, if disputes do occur, the regulator recommends seeking mediation, showing goodwill and acting in good faith. It also encourages all trustees to be mindful to channel their belief in the charity's mission in a constructive and collaborative way. Now, fan of the Prince and Princess of Wales at Tribes Britannia on X pretty much summed it all up, saying the following: Prince Harry is permanently out of Sentebale after the Charity Commission investigation found that both he and the other trustees who resigned in March failed to address Dr. Chandwaka's complaints. They found that Sentebale was poorly run, with no leadership and no clear structure. They confirmed that it isn't their role to investigate the bullying and racism allegations, but it was clear that the breakdown happened because of a lack of respect. And here, Rebecca English, royal editor for the Daily Mail, is confirming that Prince Harry has quit Sentebale as a result of this particular report. And he has since responded, and his response is freaking shocking, you guys. So, in a statement, a spokesperson for Prince Harry said, quote, "Unsurprisingly, the Commission makes no findings of wrongdoing in relation to Sentebale's co-founder and former patron, Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex. They also found no evidence of widespread bullying, harassment or misogyny and misogynoir at the charity, as falsely claimed by the current chair." Now, they're bending the truth there a little bit as far as I'm concerned. Because even though the Charity Commission turned around and said, yeah, we couldn't find any evidence, they did acknowledge that certain people do feel that way, that happened to them. So this is a very, very manipulative response. Very shocking one as far as I'm concerned, right? But the response continues. Despite all that, their report falls troublingly short in many regards, primarily the fact that the consequences of the current chair's actions will not be borne by her, but by the children who rely on Sentebale's support. Shocking response. Shocking response. Instead of turning round and saying, right, we're glad that this investigation is over, We look forward to putting this firmly in the past and moving forward. No. Instead, they still had to make a dig at Dr. Chandwaka and be like, will somebody please think of the children? Absolutely shocking and disgusting. Now, of course, this is People magazine, the mouthpiece as far as we're concerned for Hazza and Megxi, and they obviously had a source, right? Source tells People that Prince Harry and Prince Seesaw see no way back to the charity whilst Dr. Chandwaka is in place, but that they're keeping their options open. Saying, quote, both Prince Harry and Prince Seesaw are devastated by what has effectively been a hostile takeover by Dr. Chandwaka. It wasn't a hostile takeover. They quit. They quit. They left. They resigned. They then say this was Prince Seesaw's and Prince Harry's life work. They established it 19 years ago, and in that time put in blood, sweat and tears and their own money into building this charity up to what it was, a multi-million-pound charity that delivered nothing but good for the beneficiary community that is supported in Lesotho and Botswana. Yeah, all right. As Sonia Patterson here is saying on X, okay, please remind me, am I remembering wrong? My recollection is Prince Harry and Prince Seesaw resigned. Exactly. Just like I said 2 seconds ago, they resigned. What hostile takeover? They walked away, like Sonia Patterson saying right here. They could and should have stayed and mediated this governance crisis. Saying this was a hostile takeover is Hollywood BS. I wonder where he got that from, right, guys? Now, Sentebale have also provided a response as a result of the findings of the investigation being made public. And this is what they had to say. The conclusion of the UK Charities Commission case review marks an important moment of reflection and of recognition. Despite the understandable uncertainty this process created, our entire team never wavered. Their commitment to the young people and communities we serve remained steadfast, and our work continued without interruption. We are profoundly grateful for our partners across Lesotho and Botswana. Their trust in us as one of the region's most respected and reliable implementing partners has meant everything. They stood by us, confident in our impact, our values, and in the integrity of our work. With the Commission's review now closed, we move forward with focus and clarity, continuing to serve, uplift, and empower the young people of Southern Africa. That's how you do a response. Not doing a response and making it so it's another way that you can put a dig at the people that you don't like in the charity. As in Hazza's freaking response. It's absolutely insane. So here, Tribes Britannia is pretty much, giving further explanation as to what I mean by this. Turning around and saying Prince Harry has furiously hit out at the Charity Commission over its investigation into Sentebale, saying it fell drastically short and insinuated it smeared him. But not only that, he furiously hit out, as far as I'm concerned, to Sentebale and the people that are still running it there. Sentebale, though, in their response, did nothing of the sort. They didn't hit out against Hazza and the rest of the trustees that left. They were just like, we're glad it's over, it's all done and dusted, we're going to move forward now. Close this chapter, it's done. Let's get back to actually doing the great work that we're known to do in Botswana and Lesotho. You see now why I'm saying Hazza's response is absolutely freaking shocking? And now some are actually even considering his next steps to be absolutely outrageous. Because according to Taz, she doesn't miss a beat, guys. So here, Richard Palmer is turning around and saying that Hazza's now considering creating a rival charity. And in response, this is what, according to Taz, is saying. A rival charity? He really is a piece of work. Sour grapes. Setting up a rival charity means to try and take things away from Sentebale. He either cares about the children or he doesn't. Doing this could cause even more children to miss out on opportunities for his ego. And she doesn't stop there. says, oh, look, it didn't go Harry's way, so he's quit for good, and attacked the Charity Commission and Sentebale, as far as I'm concerned. The fact that Dr. Chandwaka is allowed to remain alongside the new trustee tells me everything. And here, Tribes Britannia saying this report into Sentebale destroys Prince Harry's credibility when it comes to his charity work. It shreds his poor management and behaviour, and I'm loving it. And to leave you with this one from Lady Sybil, the Invictus organisation should take note of the comments by the Charity Commission's report into its investigation into the poor management by the board of Sentebale. The report says, quote, in future, the charity should have a clearly defined patron role set out in writing. Oh, yeah. Because this doesn't just affect Sentebale. This potentially affects the other charity, the Invictus Games, that Prince Harry is a patron of. I wonder if his role in the Invictus Games is so clearly defined that the Charity Commission won't have a problem with it for Invictus. I got a funny feeling it's not. Again, what particularly is his role for Archewell Foundation? Where is it clearly defined for that? What is his actual role for Better Up? Is it really clearly defined? Because as I said a couple of years ago, when Better Up were laying off hundreds of people, some of them came out into media anonymously and said, we don't even know what he does on a day-to-day basis. He gets paid millions for what? He ain't in every day. What the deuce is going on? So yeah, guys, there seems to be, opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, potentially an issue with Prince Hazard and his roles when it comes to various charities and organisations that he's a part of. As in, his roles aren't clearly defined. Why would that be? Now, with that being said, if you appreciated this video and you want more, and of course there's going to be more, then make sure you subscribe to join our Alter Nerd tribe here on YouTube. If you're watching on X, make sure you're following me at Stef Alter Nerd for more misadventures with the Gruesome Twosome. Like, share, comment down below your opinion, conspiracy theories, whatever's. What do you think to the outcome of this investigation into Prince Harry and the Sentebale charity crisis? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I appreciate all your faces. And until the next time, you guys, laters.